Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, welcome to the show. Welcome to episode 4. We're already in episode 4 of season 2, which is really fantastic. And over here at Getting to Unstuck, we are loving the conversations that we are having this season. We're bringing in some exceptionally great guests and learning from them about a lot of really insightful opportunities in leadership and in how they are growing their personal leadership and how they're connecting, how they're becoming more authentic. And today's guest is no exception. Nekka, welcome to the show. I would love to just introduce you to our people, and then we'll let you introduce yourself more fully. Nekka believes in the power of leadership and capacity building. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. She supports solutions to ensure staff feel valued, respected, and connected to her organization's mission. So she's the human resources manager for training and development, and she coaches leaders to reach their goals and empower their fellow team members. Nekka is a part of Up Partnership in San Antonio, Texas, and she joined Up in 2016 and contributed to launching the My Brother's Keeper San Antonio network. And she graduated magna cum laude as a first-generation college student from the University of Incarnate Word with a degree in organizational development. She is a recent ICF Associate Certified Coach. We call that ECC. And she's committed to continuing her support for both her staff and the community through ongoing coaching efforts. Now, that is a lot of really great things in there. Nekka, welcome to the show, first of all. We're really glad that you're here today and you're taking the time to share some of your experience with us.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. Yes, I am Nekka. I have recently, how Christal said, got my certification through ICF, my ACC. What inspired me to actually follow through with coaching is when I joined on to Up Partnership, a couple of my colleagues were like, "You will make a good coach." So, I kind of essentially knew people came to me for advice and things like that. But I guess I never looked at myself as a coach, especially for people in higher positions as me, to actually, come to me for advice and do things like that and actually start establishing me and looking at me in that light, actually motivated me to, pursue on and start looking into opportunities with coaching. So it actually came about at the organization a few years down the line. And that's when I met Carol and actually started my coaching journey at the organization.
That's really cool. You said something very interesting there, Nekka, and you mentioned, and this I think is a common thing that we hear quite a few people say, that you never considered coach training. You didn't consider yourself think about becoming a coach because you were inside of an organization. And I think that's an interesting element that we want to talk about today for some very specific reasons, because there's a lot of experience that you have that we want to draw on in our conversation as we're talking about what does it look like to recognize when your team does need coach training. So to get our conversation started, I'm just really curious, Nekka, about what makes you you. Like, what brought you? There's a few little tidbits there in your intro that we touched on, being first generation in your family to be a college graduate, and what was that journey? What has that journey meant for you?
So I guess starting out, like I've always felt like I've been drawn to spaces to uplift other individuals. So that is what I did know even before I knew what coaching or life coaching or anything like that was. What I did know is like I was drawn to people. They would come to me for advice. They would come to me and then they would, tell me things like they left feeling valued. They left feeling heard. At the time, I still didn't know that, okay, well, this is in alignment with what, coaching with uplifting and, giving people the resources to be able to empower themselves. So, I guess that's one thing that I do believe in: the power of growth, the power of giving people tools to be able to find their own path, and empower themselves to reach their full potential. So that is something that I've always believed in. Just me as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, as a friend, as a colleague, family member. I feel like that I, serve as a leader and also a coach in those roles.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nekka, I recall you coming into the classroom when I was doing coach training with a partnership, and this natural ability that you have, that people are drawn to you. And it's such a common theme that we find in coaches in general, is that they already know that people trust them. So that fits with your education in organizational development. But I wonder, how did how did that become where you wanted to pursue further education?
So I feel like with me pursuing organizational development, what it actually, once I started studying just even with that, or like looking up what organizational development actually meant, and it's centered around helping organizations grow, to have healthy relationships, intentional ways with their staff and employees, to create an environment where their staff feels valued, where the staff does feel supported and empowered to do their best work. So I feel like through the heart of all of that, with connecting the people at the organizations in alignment with the mission, that can look like fostering leadership, that can look like enhancing team collaboration, that can also look like aligning the organization with goals outside of themselves to with community partners, with other people in the community. So it can look like all of that. And when people do feel valued and they do feel supported, they can create incredible change, uh, for both the organization, for themselves, and within the community.
Yeah.
I heard when you were just speaking about your introduction, uh, it sounded like you were heard as a leader, right? Even though maybe you didn't think you were a leader. Is that the case? Did I hear it right? Was it what was the leap, I guess, when you went from maybe I'm not a leader to I am a leader? What was that transition like?
And it was actually a physical transition, even at the point when I started coaching. So at the organization, I was actually transitioning from going from a coordinator to a manager position the same month I actually started coaching. So it was
Okay.
like everything was in alignment with just with what I was looking to pursue at the organization. Those doors opened up at the same time. So I was in a transition in positions, and also in a transition with actually starting the coaching training. So it was like that, it was in alignment. And then I was able to start establishing myself as a leader at the organization, also with establishing myself as support to the staff at the organization, with going through the coaching at the same time. They were going through the coaching, and being able to connect and start using those tools together with staff, and then just like making that connection with them to know what they actually needed to be supported as leaders as well.
So I think you said a really interesting thing there. You talked about you making the transition from being a coordinator, which was probably in those first initial days you came into the organization, and you eventually transitioned to becoming a manager. So that means different things to different people depending on the organization that they're in, right? So maybe being a manager means you're going to be managing more projects as opposed to more people. It's just different requirements. And you come from also, I think, the world of social change organizations, which is a really a growing area that is also, there's a lot of leadership development happening. But I'm curious, what were some of the things that you recognized when you moved into becoming a manager of people that were, I want to say vital skills that you maybe didn't realize or foresee that you would need before that?
So I would say, in social change organizations, like the work can be complex sometimes. So
Yes.
just through coaching, with being able to get that sense of fostering collaboration and a sense of responsibility to the work,
Mhm.
connection with the staff. So just with the different departments, with everybody holding different pieces of that work, and seeing it come together and to better be able to communicate that work and come together to reach those goals. So that's early on what I seen, just as far as the staff being able to connect internally to be able to do
Mm.
the work,
Mm-hmm.
take that work and be able to better communicate it to our partners. And then with the partners being able to better communicate it to our community.
Just we were speaking not long ago about that ripple effect and how what you chose to be doing within a partnership and how the partners then got the benefit of that kind of coaching culture, and then out as far as the community. What have you seen in the community that has changed since your organization took on being such a strong advocate for coaching?
So we have been able to collaborate with a couple of different community partners, just as
Mm.
far as with coaching, being able to help them establish what their goals are at their organizations and define a clear path to be able to reach those goals at their organizations as well. So meeting targets, just
Yeah.
as far as if it's targets within the school district, with college enrollment and things like that, which is also in alignment with our North Star goal, with attaining that we're trying to attain by 2030, with 70% of young people in Bexar County having access to post-secondary education.
Oh, wow. That's a great goal. I didn't realize that.
70%. If
Yeah.
every community had that, just imagine what the differences would be.
Mhm.
That's ambitious, and I know that you're well on your way to making that a reality.
Yeah. So interesting to think about with the coaching, generating a coaching culture. And we're, as you know, Whole Human Coaching, we work with organizations to help them build that coaching culture. And when you think about what, um, are there moments or instances when you're like, oh yeah, I get it. I see how things are changing, or I see how those leaders are showing up differently as a result of learning how to lead like a coach.
Mm.
So I will say just some of the feedback that even from our first round that we did coaching
Mhm.
from staff was that they did feel empowered, that they did feel that they were better able to communicate with their team, just as far as just even in the area of performance review. So
Yeah.
that was one thing, a tool that we used from coaching was the appreciative inquiry, to be able to guide directors in conversations with performance review. So that opened up, just conversations to be able to have honest, transparent conversations with supervisors around goals, around professional development,
Mm.
around, growth, just as far as things to, growth areas within roles. And then just also having those conversations about establishing future goals that's in alignment with the organization, but also in alignment with maybe some personal goals that people want to attain within the community outside of the organization. So, still just looking at that clear line of path of taking that work from the person at the organization, to outside of the community.
Mm.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I have a curveball question. What do you think needs to change in leadership today in 2024? And how do we think, or how do you think coaching can contribute to that?
So I would say the best advice that I could give to leaders, like if I was looking to, just speak on change, would be just leading with curiosity and leading with transparency. I think a lot of time leaders think that they have to have all the answers to everything,
Right.
and that sometimes overrides, and they actually overlook what the staff actually need, what the staff is actually, wanting to be able to thrive and do the things to meet goals. But it may be that they, already have a vision and, kind of overlook the voice of their staff sometimes. So I think just not thinking that with being in a position of leadership, you have to have the answers to all the questions, but actually, seek answers from staff, listen to what they may need. So that is a vital skill within coaching, is having active listening skills.
Yeah, sure.
And then actually using what you're actually hearing from the person, and actually taking that and not trying to override what you're already thinking is the answer.
So valuable.
Yeah.
Again, it seems like we need to get to some basics, but the basics, when they're implemented the way you're describing, just they free people up, doesn't it? I just wanted to draw back to one thing that you said about being valued and being heard. And I hear from what you're sharing with us that was your experience in how you were brought in and brought up into a leadership position. How do you exercise that on a day-to-day basis? What gives you the time to be able to value and really hear your people?
So I think just even with me being in a position of training and development, I've been able to use those coaching skills to better have one-on-one conversations with staff, by doing career development coaching. So getting to know them, what they need professionally, but also their personal needs to be able to thrive in their role. So just taking those skills and appreciating and building trust with staff to be able to, come to me with their needs to, I guess further increase, if they want to be heard and want to be valued, that they know that it's someone who's on staff that can provide them with that opportunity.
How wonderful. Such a great environment.
Yeah, because, I think you also touched on, if they want to be, that they want to feel heard and they want to feel valued. And as much as we would like to tell ourselves that that's the case of people, especially in organizations that are focused on doing good for the world, that is sadly not always the case. And in fact, maybe it's quite often that people don't feel heard or feel valued. So what do you think, we talked about like how coaching helps us with this performance reviews, which is an important part of what we actually talk about here at Whole Human Coaching. But I'm curious, have you seen or overheard people that are interacting with other people, maybe stakeholders in the organization, using those coaching skills that they've learned, and how that's created a positive outcome for them?
So yes, most of the staff, well, not most, all of the staff pretty much uses coaching skills, most likely through facilitation. So, that's one thing that is strengthened as well with the staff going through the coaching training. It also strengthened those facilitation skills.
Oh, yes.
So to be able to listen, to be able to better communicate and just discover what the issue may be, to come to a solution and, have those conversations with people so that they can, start to develop and solve their own problems.
Mm.
So I think that's really that was a pivotal point within the coaching that with putting the coaching to strengthen those facilitation skills. So that was true of us being able to communicate better with each other, and like how you said, with stakeholders as well, just to be able to move the work forward.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
That's yeah. When we think about the potential of when we, as leaders and people who want to create and generate like positive forward change in the world, the only way forward is through building those connections. Like that is the only way forward to build the world that we want, is through connecting with other people.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I have a question, Nekka. You've accomplished so much already in your career and in your life. What's next for you?
I feel like what's next for me, it was a big accomplishment with my most recent accomplishment with getting my coaching certification. So that is something that I'm looking to just further pursue, get more practice, lead others into coaching training. With, as y'all know, like just continuing to lead my organization towards being a coaching culture. So that's something that area would look into strengthen my coaching skills to be able to, just my goal would be to be able to train others to do coaching, to be able to implement coaching in other organizations, and just figure out, ways or guide them in ways that coaching could be beneficial to their organizations. So yeah, so that's some of the stuff just as far as with coaching that I've been looking into. Also just with practicing and strengthening that coaching within my organization. So yeah, so that's kind of just coaching in a nutshell, just with doing strengthening my area in different spaces. Coaching.
Ooh, well, sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Love to be part of that conversation.
Yeah. Building a coaching culture, which is not as common, and it may be something that people are curious about. So Nekka, thank you. Thank you for taking the time today and sharing your experience and sharing your insights. It's really important. We feel it's important, and based on the conversations that we have with people, it is important for people to be able to hear how leaders are building the coaching culture in their organizations, and it gives them opportunities to be able to get a glimpse and a vision of what it could look like for them where they're at too. So I want to thank you. And on behalf of the people that you serve, I mean, I'm not on behalf of them, but the people that you serve through Up Partnership, both your staff and the community that you are all so invested in, what a difference it makes to build a place where people have the permission to be authentic as leaders and to grow and to connect with each other. So thank you. Thank you for being part of that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for joining us today, Nekka. And thank you to you, our listeners. If you're still here, thanks. You're a valuable part of why we do what we do. And if you want to find out more about how to build the types of coaching culture in your leadership, as what we're talking with Nekka about, feel free to reach out to us over at wholehumancoaching.com. You can learn more about Nekka and the work that her and the team does at Up Partnership at uppartnership.com. Is that right, Nekka?
Oh, you froze.
Oh, Oh no, I froze.
Yeah, you did for me. So the website is uppartnership.org.
.org. Okay. Right. Thanks a lot. And don't forget that if you enjoyed this show to share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until the next time, take care. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Bye, Radhika.